we had gotten an advisory that like you couldn't place claims until December 1st because that's when the invoice went up. But I guess I specifically didn't make the connection of like, oh, I thought you were just saying I couldn't place claims, not that the invoice doesn't exist and that's why you can't place claims.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
Okay, you know how those unboxing videos are so popular with the kids?
I do, yes.
Let's do an audio unbagging. Are you ready?
I am. Do I need to close my eyes?
No, I'll let you do it. I mean, it's my thing, but you get to do the unbagging.
Okay. Oh, should I mention what this is?
Sure.
Patrick handed me a Lego minifigures Marvel Studios blind bag thing from the Disney Plus line. So the options are like...
yeah, there's no one on the back.
Scarlet Witch, Vision, T'Challa Star-Lord, Captain Carter, Sam Wilson Captain America, Loki, Frog Thor, Sylvie, Winter Soldier. There are 12 to collect, and I don't see 12 figures on here.
Of those, I have Captain Carter and T'Challa Star-Lord.
You do, it's true.
But I also have a zombie Cap.
Okay.
But they probably don't put it on the package because he's scary.
Probably. Anyone in particular you're looking for?
Captain America.
Okay.
Keep making noise. What is it? I can't see.
I'm drawing it out for the people.
Is it Sylvie?
I was going to just describe the pieces. And then
Oh,
slowly
I'm
say
sorry.
Sylvie, but it's fine.
I was just guessing.
I was going for the... what else is in here? Oh, a base? Oh, neat!
It's a little Lego alligator.
Little alligator Loki.
Does he, he's got a thing on his back? Does he have a crown or something you can put on him?
Nothing that comes in here.
I wonder what you would, maybe she holds him. Like, yeah, you can put something in the bottom or the top.
Yeah, she has a little thing in here that has like a little... Can I see the bottom of the alligator? Yeah. So
that is what it looks like on audio.
She has a tiny little clear thing that you can put in her hand.
That's what any Lego character or superhero that shoots something,
sure,
they hold that, and that's where Spider-Man's webbing comes out. Sure. Iron Man's repulsor blasts come out.
It looks like you can peg the
top or the bottom of
the alligator Loki into it, and so she can be like holding him. But she does come with 2 swords or knife swords, a little base, and her body. She comes with her body.
Weirdly, the other ones I've gotten that have this rectangular base with 4 pegs on it, also all have an extension piece in a clear part. Yeah, like see. This thing. Okay, see this thing you were talking about putting your hand to hold it.
Yes,
that is actually you put this into this piece here, and then you plug it into one of their feet, and so they're all like posable in the air.
Oh, I see. Okay. So the various other minifigures that are not noted on the bag are Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, Zombie Cap, Gamora from the episode that never aired and the finale. Loki does come with a Frog Thor.
Nice.
And Monica Rambeau, who comes with like a little drone, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. I like how the Scarlet Witch figure in here is all like smiling and happy, and it's like, boy, is that not representative of the WandaVision show.
Well, maybe like all Legos, it has 2 heads where you can turn it around.
Maybe. Does the Sylvie have 2? Does she have a front and back head?
I don't know.
She does, yeah.
Okay. Is she smiling and then frowning?
No. Her 2 faces. One is like a very like kind of gleeful smile, and the other is like a smirk. Okay. Which obviously the smirk one is the one you'd want to go with for a Loki variant. Yeah, these are pretty good. I mean, this is a really good lineup. The Captain Carter figure comes with a Cosmic Cube.
Yep.
Or Tesseract, if you will.
Does it say Tesseract on the...
No, they don't say anything.
It shows her with the Tesseract on the front of the package.
Both Winter Soldier and Captain America come with the shield.
Winter Soldier has a shield?
Comes with same shield.
Okay.
Same Captain America shield.
But also Zombie Cap, too.
Zombie Cap comes with a scarred up one, though.
And then Captain Carter has a shield. So many shields.
There really are a lot of shields, it's true.
This was the wave for me.
And then, I mean, Scarlet Witch has her sense of, like, self-deception, so that's kind of like a shield to her.
Exactly.
Her inability to, like, confront reality and deal with her grief.
I thought her children were her physical shields.
They're not in this set, I'm sorry.
Or are they?
No, they're definitely not.
They're part of the Master Pandemonium Build-A-Figure.
Literally looking at this and they're not in there.
No, Dell.
Uh-huh.
She conjured her children, so they're part of this set. She just hasn't conjured them yet.
That doesn't sound right. It's interesting that only 4 figures in the set have instructions on the back of this sheet that is included with every single figure in the wave.
Yeah, that's why I didn't know what that little piece was as far as putting them into that standing base.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's actually noted on the Gamora thing. They put a little... That drops there, and then that drops there.
Weird that Gamora needs a... do I have Gamora? I might have Gamora.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember now. Some of them are, I think, already under the Daily Bugle dome.
Oh, okay.
But speaking of Lego, I have... I've got 4 different advent calendars this year, but I'm only using 2 of them.
Yeah.
2 of them I'm keeping in reserve because one...
In case there's another Christmas?
George has the same
Like in
one, but
February.
he's opening them on Facebook videos.
Okay, unboxing them.
Exactly. They're little envelopes, though, so enveloping them. But, of course, one of mine is a cheese advent calendar.
Naturally. How's it been so far?
Good. I've only had the first 2 days, and it was Gouda and Edam.
Okay.
Which are 2 cheese that... actually, it was Edam and then Gouda. Mm-hmm. And those are 2 cheeses that I always relate to each other. And usually say them in the same sentence.
Sure.
And there they are as cheese 1 and 2 in the calendar. So there you go. And I think this cheese advent calendar that my sister got me from Aldi, because Aldi has all the fun, different, like wine.
Yeah, they had like 24 this year or something like that?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of advent calendars. And like there was a whole day, we had a subscriber who came in who had already gone on like the hunt that day.
Sure.
Which was on a Wednesday, so that didn't help you very much.
It was like it was the first Wednesday, I think, in November, maybe?
Maybe.
But I think it's just like 4 sets of cheeses repeated a few times.
Okay. You don't think they're going to have an extra special original one for the 24th? Not original in the sense of it's never existed before in humanity, but just...
Sure. Like last year...
The only time they have that is on the 24th.
The wine advent calendar I had last year alternated between red and white, but the final day was... Champagne.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is, white.
I would assume they would do the same thing. I think on December 24th, you're going to find some pretty good stuff in your advent calendars.
Well, Dale, I will let you know on December 24th.
Well, no, let me know on December 25th.
Why not? Why not on the 24th?
Because I assume it's going to be very late in the day on the 24th.
Who knows? Who knows when I get to my cheese?
You're going to start real early that day?
It's a special day. It's cheese.
That's true.
I don't know.
It's your advent calendar. You can interact with it however you like.
The other advent calendar that I got from Target, and it's the Avengers Lego advent calendar.
Yes.
And Dal, what was day 1?
It was Iron Man in a holiday sweater.
So day 2, just a little bag of accessories. Oh. Just all like silver accessories for like... And I look at the box, I'm like, oh, it's a Christmas tree, because Iron Man is holding it looks like he's shooting a Christmas tree out of his hand. Okay. It's not.
No.
And the pieces I got wouldn't make that anyway.
Oh, okay.
But it's just like blast or repulsor jets that would stick into his feet like he's flying.
Yeah, I looked at the box, and it definitely feels like there's going to be a bunch of days where it's like, I don't know, here's food for everybody to eat.
Yeah. One of the annoying things about the Funko Pop advent calendar from a couple years ago, which we still have one at the store, and I can't believe no one's bought because it's such a great advent calendar.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, it includes like a ton of, what do they call
24 minifigs.
But they call them something else.
I don't care.
Okay.
It's Funko.
Mystery minis, I think is what they called them.
But there are many characters on the box that are not in the set. I mean, it's 24 different figures.
Right.
So it's not like they're repeating, like, oh, this is the black costume Spider-Man or anything like that. But there's other people on the box. You're like, oh, I can't wait to get Hellcat. Hellcat's on the box. She's not in the set. but nonetheless.
I recall the set. I mean, assuming it's the same for all of them, I assume the set being. I remember the set being very like main character heavy. There wasn't a lot of like.
Well,
here's a man thing or whatever.
You say main character, but it was Guardians, like movie Guardians.
That's the thing. Like it was very MCU weighted. You know, people who've been in movies and cartoons and stuff. So. Kids
but it
or
had Ultra,
casual fans who get them.
but there was Red Skull. No, there was Captain Marvel. Spider-Man.
Taserface. He was in there.
Shut your mouth.
He was not in there.
He was not in there. We are recording a little bit later tonight because I was at the store a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
Because I had a very fun visitor to the store.
Oh, yeah?
This isn't going to mean a lot to most people, but I'm going to say a name. And I need you all to go look her up on YouTube. Clydeen Jackson. Clydeen Jackson came to the store. And I'm a big fan. And she's on the wall. And go to YouTube. Look up, just search Clydeen Jackson and Fresh. And you're welcome.
Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
She's a singer. Mm-hmm. She currently does a lot of work on Marvel properties.
Oh, that's cool.
Including things that I can't say.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Only because of how strict they are, not because it's an unannounced project.
Sure.
It's not like saying Sebastian Stan is Ethan Reckless. It's nothing like that. Mm-hmm. But so that was a fun moment for me.
That's cool.
And not only did I get her on the wall, I asked her to do it in purple. So it stands out.
Gasp.
That's right. Everybody go look up Clydeen Jackson. Clydene Jackson, and the album is Fresh. It's from the 70s. It will, I was going to say change your life, but it'll make your life better. It'll make your life a little bit better.
That's a good change.
Yeah. So there. That's it's comic related because of her connection to the MCU.
Sure.
Dal, we've got random little things to talk about, but nothing that's going to be of like a huge amount of substance.
Okay.
But before we hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't saying.
I do not agree then.
I wasn't saying we're doing it now. But when you and I were talking yesterday, you had mentioned something that you said, oh, that'll be on the podcast, in relation to Managed Comics.
Oh,
and
right,
I didn't know
right.
if you want to do...
Yeah, I mean, there was yet another Managed Comics thought stream this past Thursday, and it's...
I always want to check those out, but now that I'm working Thursdays...
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. I did one in the store, and it was just, like, really distracting.
There was I think there was
to focus on it.
one or two that you and I both did together.
When we actually both had the same day off.
Yeah.
No, so this one...
When I say together, I mean...
in separate places, but at the same time.
We were on the same thought stream.
Yeah. So it's stuff that's more about the onboarding process because they're finalizing their code and getting ready for more and more stores to be a part of this. Like they've got it in a state where it is as functional as people need it to be. Obviously, it'll be something that over the lifespan of it will grow and improve and address other concerns. But like they sent out an email today that's, hey, you are on the waiting list. Like you can schedule a time to get on board with Managed Comics. Like it is ready.
December 27th.
It is ready to go wide. People could sign up for something like within the next week, basically, if they wanted to.
Wow.
But one of the things that is still sort of unclear to me, and it's the thing that Brian from Managed Comics, I don't want to say kind of glossed over, but it definitely was not something that was really drilled into, was what functionality exactly does the initial order and final order cutoff stuff have? Because there's a thing where he sort of mentions, like, in the future we want to include, like, all of your sales data and stuff, and it's like, whoa. Does the initial order not include sales data? Because that's hugely important to us to be able to understand what we need to order. Like, a lot of the screens that he showed off are ones that, like, kind of predate the Shopify integration elements of it. Where, like, it was, an app for Shopify, but it doesn't have all of the, like, here's how many copies of a book you sold because you sold them all through Shopify. Like, that sales data is hugely important to us when we're doing initial orders and final orders. Because while Managed Comics is really built towards, like, oh, here's all of the different people who want Batman 119. It's like, okay, but how many copies of Batman 118 did we sell? So we know what to order in addition to what we need for subscribers for 119.
Is it possible that he means that in the future it's because when we start, we're starting from zero and we have no sales data?
I mean, that's gonna happen. Like, the first couple, like, I've kind of scheduled our initial order or our initial setup for Managed Comics
our onboarding
to be right after we upload the initial order to Diamond and Lunar, right after we've done FOCs for Lunar and Diamond and Penguin Random House for the week. So, like, we are in as much of a, like, okay, we got all the data we need out of Comic Suite, now we can switch over to Managed Comics, and by the end of the first week, we'll have
sales data
for the stuff that is coming out, or going to be on the FOCs for that weekend. Hopefully,
and
maybe.
Let's face it, we don't necessarily look back at the full 6 months worth of data that they give us when we're placing initial orders. I look back 1-2 issues.
Yeah, but in general, like, that's the thing that I kind of will maybe need some clarification from Brian, is being able to look at sales data like a long-term roadmap thing or something that's already in there and he didn't think to mention, because, like, those are two very different things. An inability to access our sales data within the initial order and final order screen is a huge handicap to being able to really leverage what a point of sale system and a subscription management system are supposed to do. Like, that's the whole point of ringing things up through a point of sale system, is to track sales data and then be able to say, okay, we sold 62 copies of Batman, or we sold 10 copies of this book off the shelf. And then how many did we sell off the shelf the month before? Is it going up or down? And then add that new number to how many you need for subscribers, and that's the number you want to order for the next issue. So yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing where it's like that is a non-optional piece of the puzzle. Like, that's not like a cool little extra feature that can be added at a later date. That is like a day one expectation.
To the puzzle picture.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's without having that, it's like then I don't really have a point of sale system, because every time I do initial orders, it's like, okay, cool, this thing's telling me that I need 52 copies of Batman for my subscription service, but now I have to basically, like, tab out back to, like, Shopify or Stocky and be like, okay, well, what did I sell for the other issues? And then even then it's like, okay, but how many of those were subscriber ones? Right. Like, that's not helping.
That's why you need a subscription management POS system to work together.
Yeah, if it can't tell me what I sold from, like, non-subscribers, that's bad. That's real bad. Like, that is essentially still an alpha product to me at that point. It's not even in beta if it doesn't have the capability of discerning rack sales from subscriber sales. Like,
it's weird to think of something as an alpha product when you think, oh, it's the pinnacle, it's the best, it's the alpha male product.
Nope.
So alpha and then beta. So what Greek letter represents full release?
Oh, it's usually just called like RC, or like a release candidate or whatever.
Oh.
I think is what it normally would be called. Or just a final product.
That's not Greek. That doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't have a letter after that, because it's basically out of the staging process and into being a live product. So yeah, that's the thing. It's still a bit of a question mark to me. Everything else looks really good, though. Everything else you're showing off, it's like, oh, it looks great. We were talking about the ability to more easily automate the shipping process for subscribers who need stuff shipped out. Currently, it's very like, the subscriber has to tell us, hey, ship my stuff out, and then we have to do an invoice, and then we have to get them to pay the invoice, or whatever.
If it's a Thursday or Friday, we say, hey, let's wait till next Wednesday's books.
Right. This is a thing where on a set recurring schedule, when the new books come out, it'll push an invoice to people to let them pay for their stuff. We will get a notification it's been paid for, and then we'll pack it up and ship it out. And people do all that within Shopify, which means we can do labels, we can have tracking within the app. Yeah, real easy, good stuff. So all that looks
really
good.
Should I adjust the recurring stamps.com reload amount then, if you think we'll be doing a lot more through Shopify?
No, because you never know what we're going to need for other stuff.
Well, I'm not saying turn it off. I'm just saying maybe don't have it reset to.
I mean, worst case scenario just means there's a chunk of change in there that we'll use for other stuff down the line.
Okay.
Certainly, I think we'll be refilling it a lot less often, because we'll be doing stuff. We'll be creating more orders within Shopify, and then that has all the functionality to ship stuff out. rather than doing it through Square and then having to go to stamps.com to then print out a label or something. We'll just be doing it all within our inventory system.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That works. That's shipperific.
It is shipperific. That's, yeah.
One of the reasons I had told patron and club member Chris Burton that we'll send his books Wednesday is that mail already came today.
Oh, yeah.
And that means they're not coming back till Wednesday.
Pretty much.
They don't. They come maybe twice a week.
I mean, we schedule stuff now a little bit more often because it's the holidays.
Sure. And how often does that actually work?
I mean, not 100%.
Right. Which is annoying.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And even like Wednesday, it didn't even matter if they came or not. No. I went to the post office.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So just to, because how bad do you feel when you pack some of these books up on Wednesday and hand them to the post office or the post person, the letter carrier,
the mail carrier,
the next Tuesday?
Real bad. There was stuff that we had people kind of anxiously emailing us about specific gift requests, and then we, the next day we're immediately like invoicing them and packing stuff up and doing all that. And then it just sat on the counter for 2 days. And it's like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
They worked fast. We worked fast. And then USPS just showed up whenever. That was a bummer.
And then it's always, I guess we can't go to the post office all the time because they're closed by the time we get out some days.
Right.
So it's a matter of, I hope they come tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's set up a pickup request, which they ignore and then say, no, we did it.
Mm-hmm. How
did you do it at 10 p.m.?
Yep, when we're closed as a business.
But all these boxes are still sitting there. There's a small pile of things going out.
Mm-hmm.
I did bring some Christmas cards in to mail, and they were in the bag. And when the mail carrier came in, I'm like, can you take these? And do you want them in the bag? She's like, yeah, I'll take your bag. Like, great, take the bag. It's easier to carry. Then I always think, like, it's also easier to lose.
Yes, true.
But, I mean, these cards are a little unruly.
Yeah.
They don't stack easy.
No, there's stuff inside of them.
But I said two key things in the last topic we were talking about, Dal. I said
unruly,
patron, and I said Christmas card.
Yes.
So I'm going to make this offer to any Contest of Challenger patron, not just all listeners, but if you're a patron and you've been supporting this podcast this year and you would like to get a Christmas card from Challengers, respond to... Is he flying?
Yeah. He's a Loki.
He doesn't have his hammer, though. Oh, he's Loki, right?
He's a trickster.
Loki doesn't fly.
He's a trickster lizard.
He's tricking me into thinking he's a crocodile. If you want a Christmas card, send us your address through Patreon. You could either do it as a message to this episode, you could do it as a message to us, but if you're a patron who's listening to this episode...
This very episode.
And you get a request by... I don't know, December 10th.
It's usually a good cutoff point.
Yeah. We will send you a Challenger's Christmas card. As a thank you for listening.
And to keep reading comics.
Good work.
That sentence doesn't make any sense.
I know.
The tense is all over the place.
But hey, speaking of patrons, it's a new month. It's time to thank patrons.
I feel like you were expecting me to do something, and then I didn't do it.
I thought you were going to say...
Just stared at you.
Something like, go on. Or, as you were. Or,
We did not discuss this.
I mean, we never do. But you always interject when I'm not looking for it, and then don't when I am. I should just modify my expectations.
We've only done 562 of these episodes, so I'm not really up to speed on our system or rhythm yet.
Our dynamics.
Yeah, we'll get there. By 600.
Sure.
Hey, this is the point in the episode where we like to thank all of our patrons this month.
Including our annual patrons, Becca Hilburn, Brent Helt, Dal's mom Diane Bush, Jose Villagomez, Josh Crawley of Westfield Comics, Michael Romanenko, our patrons that have created their own tier, Andrew Drewtroit Comics Aaliyah, Christina McChrystal, Bridget K. Neville, Chris Burton, our other generous patrons from the Say My Name tier, Arun Singh, Social Media Vampire Ben-Hur Benedict Calaguas, Bradley Rader, Brian Garside from Manage Comics, Christopher Haith, Drew Triner and Ashley Edwards, Challengers Reservist Fallon Mackerline, my brother George W. Brower, Heidi D., Jacob Sorelli of Kamikaze in Tel Aviv. From 11 O'Clock Comics, Jason Wood. Jay Johnson. Josh Trigg. Mark Hammond of All Yeah Comics. Margie, Keith, Logan, and Malcolm Springham. Marcus Nasso. Matt Armstrong. Mitchell Davies of All Star Comics in Melbourne, Australia. Morgan Kaiju Perry. Nick Baldwin. Robert Burns. Ron Payne. Ryan Alcock. Ryan Hecht. Sean Bowers. Tad Eggleston and Johnny Williams. Thomas Nagovin of Century Guild. Walt Grogan. And if you would like to hear your name thanked once a month on this very podcast, head over to patreon.com/challengers and pledge at the $5 Say My Name level. Thank you all very much, and a big thanks to all of our other patrons who generously support this podcast at different pledge tiers. And I feel a little bit weird that we just had a, pardon me, we just had a drop-in of patron names, including a couple of new patrons this time, which is great. And now we're doing a completely different audio drop-in immediately after this.
Oh, I love it.
And
less work for Dal.
The worst part is Dal doesn't know what it is.
No.
And I can't explain it to him without wasting the time of everybody listening.
Sometimes you do tell me in advance, and then you drop it in, and I'm like, what's happening?
So anyway, it's a new segment, and it goes in right here. And now, from the sales floor, we're going to have a brand new segment for Contest of Challengers. It's called Checking In with Molly Jane. Molly Jane, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Great. That was Checking In with Molly Jane. Thanks, everybody. So the question remains, will we do that all the time? Weekly? Once in a while? And will it ever actually have substance? What do you think?
Oh, for sure.
Real good.
Thanks.
Real good.
The best part is I'll never know what that was.
And why?
I will never know.
Will. And while we're talking about patrons, like a month or so ago when we had an episode called Gentrifiers, where we talked about a woman yelling at me that we're gentrifiers.
Because you wouldn't make change for her?
Yeah. We had...
Like a gentrifier?
A patron, Joseph Coco, send an illustration of why we're gentrifiers. And it was our building from 2007, 2011, and 2021.
Uh-oh.
And it was neat, but I never did anything with it, mainly because the 2021 photo was pre-new banners.
Oof, out of date.
And I really wanted it to and like, I could like edit it, but I never did.
Yeah.
And I would love it, because in 2007, the building shell was there. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even know that that's a thing, that you could go back through, I guess, Google, and it's like Google Street View and change the date.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
I would like to go back further and see when it was nothing.
What it was in 2005.
If it was just a parcel of land.
I feel like it was probably houses that people lived in, and then they were destroyed for this building.
Then we were definitely gentrifiers.
Yep. Everything that woman said was true. She only came there for change because she grew up there in the 1990s in whatever that building used to be.
We ruined it.
Yeah.
We ruined her childhood. Anyway, thank you for sending that, Joe, and I apologize for never doing anything with it or even mentioning it. But I did see it, and I did chuckle at it. And he had a nice little gentrifier logo across the middle. I don't necessarily see patron messages right away. I do eventually see them, but then I'm really bad at remembering to respond to the questions or answer them. We eventually get to them. Just sometimes it takes weeks or so. Mm-hmm. But we get there. We do it. We get there.
We do.
Thanks.
What
is the symbol you want when I want you to interject? Should I do like the wrestling ref, like throw the hands out really wildly?
Here's the downside of any signal you could give me.
I don't look at you.
I would have to pay attention.
Yeah,
and I really
remember
don't
what it was.
Do that. I got this little Lego alligator I'm playing
He has
with
not
now.
let the alligator down. Sylvia's still in the bag, but that... What's he shooting?
He's like a dive bomber. He's shooting his Loki rays. Did you not watch the TV show?
From where?
I know you fell asleep during a chunk of it, so you definitely missed the part where the alligator flew around and shot Loki beams out of his eyes. Pew, 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 pew.
Out of his eyes, okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
He doesn't really have much else on this tiny plastic alligator. He really just has eyes.
And a tail.
Yeah, I mean, he's moldy. He has limbs and stuff, but like as far as his face goes, that's kind of it.
So let's talk about adventures in retail.
Okay.
And specifically,
that is why we're
adventures in receiving of orders.
Uh-huh. Getting 11 boxes from Marvel on Monday.
Oh.
Super excited about that.
Wow. And that's not even counting all the Beta Ray bills.
Those already showed up.
So we've talked about how we now get deliveries every single weekday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was talking to the UPS guy today. I'm like, because today we got in orders from, I was going to ask you to name the distributors, but you're too busy yawning.
I could do it.
You would think I was about to press the button to record.
Ingram.
Uh-huh.
Penguin Random House.
Uh-huh.
Simon & Schuster.
Uh-huh.
Hachette.
Yep.
Okay. Not Diamond?
Not Diamond.
Okay.
No Diamond. No Lunar.
Okay.
Nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, Lunar I wouldn't expect because we already got them.
Sure. But I mean, I was just naming everybody it could be.
It's true.
Because that was a lot of them today.
It really is.
So I was talking to the UPS guy and I'm like, hey man, I'm really sorry that it's so many boxes
That you have to come here
every week now. Like basically everything you're giving us, we used to get from one place. Now we're getting it from 6.
Yeah, you would drop off 4 boxes on Wednesday and that would be it. And now it's like, now there's, 2 to 8 boxes every single day.
So yesterday I put up a video on our social media accounts. My first ever Instagram Reels.
Ooh, Reels.
And it was me unpacking a box. And I specifically didn't say who it's from, but it was Marvel Comics. Mm-hmm. And you could clearly see these caricature animals, flightless birds, you might say, on the side of the box.
I would say that, yes.
So, for those who didn't see it, it was a standard comic box, which we would call like a diamond inner box, but not quite as big, because you can't fit
2 rows of books.
2 rows of books in it. But it was close enough. Open that box, and it's filled with yards of bubble wrap around a single comic book mailer. And a single comic mailer is just flat cardboard where you could mail a couple of books, a single book at a time, or a couple of books.
Right. 1 to 10 comics, probably.
Sure. Inside that and there was another layer of, it feels like a combination of styrofoam cloth.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
Wrapped around 3 replacement copies of Hawkeye #1 Phil Noto cover.
Mm-hmm. That we had originally gotten from Penguin Random House and they'd been damaged in shipment.
So the reason I was posting was to show you how egregious the packaging is and how it's 3 comics in a box. Like, they could have just set the 3 comics out in the mailer if they would have bagged and boarded them.
Right.
That'd have been fine.
Yeah.
Then it's sent them in. But they'd wrapped it in so much bubble wrap that the whole box was full. And then those 3 comics were still damaged.
Yeah, like, the packing is interesting because it is 180 degrees from the problem we were having at the start of Penguin Random House's distribution of Marvel Comics. This was, I mean, you could have, like, drop-kicked this thing from an airplane and probably would have landed fine. What was inside would be pristine. There was so much, like, protection, and it wasn't touching the sides of the box, so even if the box got dented, nothing's going to touch this T-fold, and even the T-fold itself is like, the books are suspended within a thing that are then suspended within another thing.
I could have jumped on it.
But the joke of it, and what we're finding out, is that where a lot of these damages might be occurring are not necessarily in transit. We thought it was, because you look at the boxes they were first coming in, and it's like, we talked about it on previous episodes of the podcast, the single stack Penguin Random House Marvel boxes meant that, like, the comic book inside is touching every single corner of the box. So if any corner of the box gets dented, and
breathes
they will,
out heavy,
because
looked at too harshly,
the boxes themselves are very light and easy to toss around, you're going to dent the corners of a huge stack of comics, like almost all of the comics in the box, probably. because of the kind of the lightness of the box. The diamond boxes, which are double row comic boxes, and then 2 of those within a much larger box, those don't get tossed around because those weigh anywhere between like 40 and 70 pounds. They will get lifted up and dropped, but they're not going to get thrown anywhere. So we were thinking like, oh, these, the single boxes are kind of not great, and they're what's damaging the books. Come to find out, as we're getting things in like much better packaging, those single boxes, wrapped in stuff and then put within much larger boxes, and the books are still coming out damaged. And it's like, oh, the only way this thing in the T-folds, these 3 Kate Bishop Hawkeye comics could have been damaged is basically if they were damaged before being packed.
Yeah.
Like, these things must have been bent or damaged at the distribution hub and then put in a T-fold, and then the T-fold wrapped in yards of bubble wrap, and then the yards of bubble wrap T-fold put inside a box, and the box sealed. So it's like, at step 1, these things are getting damaged. So all the packing in the world is not going to protect it when these things are probably sitting on a shelf bent at a warehouse on the East Coast.
Yep.
So that was a fun wake-up call of like, oh, the packing is not even the problem, as it turns out. It's
they're
a problem, but it's not the problem.
Somebody commented, well, I prefer it packed this way to prevent damage. Yeah, only it didn't.
Yeah. They packed a damaged book.
It prevented additional damage, but it's still a damaged book.
Yeah.
And then, just to show the whole world what it's like today, the same distributor, we get a box which is full of next week's Marvel Comics graphic novels.
Yep.
We open the box, and I posted a photo again today, which will probably be the image we use for the episode.
Groovy.
And I sent it to you as well.
You did.
Of exactly how the box looked when we opened it. There was
Absurd.
a single piece of bubble wrap on top, and a mixed together pile of books going everywhere.
Yeah, and the books themselves, these are graphic novels for the week, and so it's Marvel ones. So you've got your usual like $18 5-issue flimsy graphic novels, but hey, guess what? You also had like $125 hardcover omnibus.
Yeah.
And that thing's just bouncing around inside the box against all these other books.
It's basically like somebody had a box, they put in 2 stacks of books, and then close the box.
Yeah, this thing was, looking at it, this box was like maybe 70% full. So 30% of that space, which would normally, by another shipper, have been filled up with bubble wrap, paper. Like, some book distributors we get stuff from would have taken those 70% and then shrink wrapped them together to a thick piece of cardboard so that even inside the box, they can't go anywhere.
Yeah, Ingram always shrink wraps the books to a big flat cardboard base,
which is good.
So this box of books, there was 8 damages total, which is too many to report online.
Right,
too many.
You can't automate that. You got to talk to someone, or you have to have like a trail of emails, basically.
Now, I was talking to Molly Jane the other day about bubble wrap, and she had said that from a shipment on Monday, there were several pieces of bubble wrap that came out with just like 1 row of bubbles undone. And she's like, why would they use these? And I said, maybe they were full when they put them in, and that's just the bubbles doing their job and just breaking and shipping, you know?
Sure.
Perhaps they are protecting.
Maybe.
And it's more than possible, because this box looks like it got damaged during shipping, and UPS just tried to Frankenstein it together with some other pieces of cardboard.
And I'll mention that Penguin Random House boxes for graphic novels that we've gotten in are terrible.
Yeah.
We've had a few recently that came in that basically, like, it's your standard larger brown cardboard box. It can fit multiple rows of books. But the thing about these boxes is that the bottoms of them are glued, not taped. And the glue gives out because the weight of the books, especially as they're bouncing around in there, is more powerful than the glue that's holding the box together. So we've gotten boxes where, like, you flip them over and it's like, wow, I can reach my hand inside because it's coming apart. The books don't slip out because of how kind of widely configured the books are relative to the gap in the box. But it's still like, this isn't good. And this one, you showed me pictures and it's like, the seams were tearing. Like, the whole thing was coming apart. It was way, like, the books themselves are probably too heavy for that one box.
Yes.
But then it's compounded by the books moving around, ricocheting off the inside, bouncing off each other, are putting even more stress onto the sides and seams of the box.
And it's also possible that there was more bubble wrap to start with, but they lost it when they repackaged it.
Maybe.
But it seems pretty obvious they wouldn't have had to repackage. Like, everything wouldn't have torn open if it wasn't so loose and so weightly misproportioned.
Yeah, UPS doesn't do that for fun.
Yeah.
They're not looking inside to make sure everything's okay. They're doing that because the thing is undeliverable in its current state.
We heard from Jim Mortensen from, it's one of those, Evanston. I was confused, Evanston and Elmhurst.
Mm-hmm.
That they had recently gotten an Ingram order that was, I think it was Ingram. Yeah, I think it was Ingram. That had clearly been dismantled by UPS and put back together because they just tore the section of the box that had the label and put it on a whole new box. Like, it came in a square box, and he's like, I've never seen Ingram use a square box ever. And I think the label was cut out and pasted on the outside.
That's crazy.
So who knows what happens via UPS in all the shipment. But I mean, it's just like back-to-back days of the two extremes.
Yeah, for sure.
Coupled with, a whole bunch of other different boxes. Everybody does things a little bit differently. Like, it's always amazing to me how little packing Hachette uses and how their stuff isn't as bad as PRH's.
I think Hachette's gotten a little better. I think we've had to complain about them before. We've had to complain about nearly every non-diamond shipper over the last year. As we start using more and more wholesalers and distributors, it's just like the amount of times we've had to go, hey, the box was 70% full. There was one 8.5 by 11 sheet of brown paper that was crumpled up in the corner. The books all got damaged. They all got dinged up. And luckily, I mean, it's graphic novels. So A, they're more resilient. B, we're less, I don't know how to put it.
We're not as concerned with pristine condition of graphic novels as we are with single issue comics.
I don't want to say fastidious, but we're definitely less focused on it has to be 100% perfect.
We're more generous in our acceptance of
that's a good way to put it.
Not mint product.
Yeah, obviously there are damages, and we had a few that happened this past, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we were unpacking a whole bunch of stuff. There were a few books from different distributors where we had to go, no, this is, even for a graphic novel, this is too much.
Yeah, one of the Beta Ray bills for this week is split down the spine.
Yep, that one's getting kicked back.
However, they also overaged just by one.
Okay.
Like, what's that one?
All right.
That's the overage one.
Great.
It's also fun because whether it's Molly Jane who's helping check in or Gina, the two of them are both harsher on their judgment of what's a saleable book. Mm-hmm. And you and I just have to say, no, it's fine.
Yeah. It's
one of the startling things that we've come to realize, and I think you vocalized this the best, and I forget how you said it, so I'm just going to take it and make it my own.
Please.
The book market doesn't care about the condition of their product.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's the comics market that says, hey, these books are bent, we don't want to sell them. But the book market, like these distributors, like Penguin Random House, who sell to bookstores and bookstore chains, for the vast majority of their business, their comic market is a tiny infinitesimal percentage of what they do.
Well, I think it's just down to kind of what each product is intended for. Like, a book is a book, a comic is a collectible.
Sure.
So, like, when you're shipping a book, as long as the pages are all there and it's not destroyed, like, great, it's still a book. But if a collectible gets damaged even slightly, it's no longer collectible. Like, the margin of error on what moves something from, like, a product that exists to a product you have to destroy is so small for comic books. Like, if it gets dinged up even a little bit, throw it in the garbage. No one's going to want it.
Well, it's just that graphic novels come all beat up really badly lately as well.
Sure.
But we don't consider those collectibles.
No, that's the thing. The market never... I don't want to say it never has. There's certain books that are. If it's like a signed edition or if it's a limited edition item in some way, like, yeah, it's a collectible.
I do look at anybody funny who wants a bag and board for their graphic novel.
Sure. But, like, any graphic novel that we got in this past week, I wouldn't consider it something where it's like, oh, the person buying this is going to be, like, looking at it for resale value or for, like...
Yeah,
collectible,
exactly.
Whatever. It's like they're going to buy it because they want to read it, and that's the
Nobody's
end of it.
ever bought a second copy of a graphic novel because it had a limited cover.
I'm sure somebody has.
I mean, through us.
Yeah.
That I can recall.
I'm sure someone somewhere has.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure you're right. But it's just a matter of well, you should accept it because the book market, which is way bigger than you, they're fine with it. Mm-hmm. And
I wonder if they are. Like, we always make these assumptions because I don't know anyone in the book market. I don't talk to anyone who works in bookstores. I don't.
Didn't you know?
Maybe they're
Steve Border.
Stephen T. Borders.
Yeah.
I don't know if the book market feels that way. Maybe the book market's like, oh my god, I'm constantly fighting with Penguin Random House over a carton of books they shipped out that were all unsellable, a special order for a customer that they didn't want because the thing is beat up. Like, maybe it's just as bad there, but it's like just part of the market.
Here's another difference between the different aspects of the market from using just Diamond to everybody else now.
Yeah.
The billing.
Oh my god, yes.
The invoicing and the billing.
It's so opaque.
With Diamond, we get invoiced every week. It has all of the orders for the week on it, whether it be initial orders or final order cutoffs
we
or
get
reorders.
The Wednesday before we get the books.
Or
so if new books are going on sale on December 8th,
replenishment,
we get an invoice from Diamond December 1st of everything we're going to be getting in the next week and everything they're billing us for in the meantime.
And we pay that online. They have an online payment portal where we send money directly from our bank account to Diamond. I do that every Monday, once a week.
Thanks.
Looking at a given month, how many orders do you think we place with PRH?
Let me do the math. It's a 4-week month, let's say.
Yes.
So we're going to do 4 final order cutoff orders.
Which is what we do in place of 1 initial order.
Correct. We're going to do 4 reorders. So 8, and then probably... there's probably going to be another 4 random orders throughout the month. Usually I try and keep stuff just in the cart and then do it all with the reorder. But there's times where it's like, no, I'm just going to push this book through, or I'm going to grab these comics while they're still available. So I'd say probably 12.
Okay, so you think on an average, we do 12 orders a month.
Sure, with Penguin Random House. Yes.
Yeah. Now, if this were, let's say you were buying something online, and you place 12 orders, you would expect to pay 12 times.
Correct.
Okay. If this were Diamond, they would funnel it all into a weekly. You'd pay 4 times. With Penguin Random House and some of the other distributors we use now as well, they don't do it by order. What do they do it by, Dal? Shipping.
True. Yeah, so it's weird. Like, the weekly deliveries that we get from Penguin Random House for our new Marvel comics and graphic novels are, I think, as we sort of noted earlier in this episode, 2 different orders. Comics are 1 order.
Yeah.
Graphic novels are another order. Even if that's the same final order cutoff cart
it's
that we
the
close.
Same order.
Yeah. It's shipped around the same time, but they are literally 2 different invoices. When we're receiving them into Comic Suite, like Lunar, which is all of our DC Comics and graphic novels for the week, is 1 invoice we receive with everything on it. With the Marvel stuff from Penguin Random House, I have to receive 1 graphic novel invoice and then 1 comic invoice.
On a side note, the Simon & Schuster order from today, it was 1 box. It's 3 different orders in it.
More stuff is starting to trickle out. We got a bunch of Hachette stuff that's older purchase orders that are finally filling from like Marvel and some manga stuff.
So the point I was making about Penguin Random House is their invoicing is based on when they ship things out.
Right.
So each shipment is a line item on a monthly invoice.
Right.
So you estimated that we did 12 orders in a month.
Let's say.
Can you now estimate how many line items we get on a monthly statement?
Oh my god, 25?
I'm sorry. You think it's double?
I do.
It is double. You're double. 40.
Oof. Okay.
So
That's
the
a lot of line
statement
items.
we just got on December 1st covered October and November as far as invoicing.
Sure.
80 separate invoices.
That's a lot of line items.
80.
We should stop ordering comics.
And it's difficult. Like, in the beginning, we were sending a check for every invoice we got. I'm not sending 80 checks over the span of 2 months.
No, it's ridiculous.
What we do now is we have terms with them, but I don't like that because that means we get like a $10,000 bill at the start of every month.
Right.
So I just start, what I'm doing for us, and I'm not recommending anybody do this, but I'm just every weekly I'm sending them a couple of grand.
Right.
And then when we get the statement at the end of the month, I can see
how much you've already paid down.
Yeah, or how much, what we owe or how much we have in credit or whatever. Yeah. So I'm only paying them 4 or 5 times a month, depending on how many Mondays there are. But I have to reconcile 40 invoices for this bad of a month when it was at the most 12 from us.
Yeah. And on the topic of Penguin Random House's
but I don't understand it, Dale.
weird rules about invoicing, let me bring up a thing that was a sort of nightmare this week. Penguin Random House has an internal rule about how they generate invoices. Specifically, they will only invoice you for the month something is on sale. So books that go on sale December 1st, they won't invoice you for on November 28th. They're going to invoice you for those on December 1st. The problem is all of our receiving for Comic Suite for Penguin Random House depends on invoices, not pre-delivery reports, not backorder CSVs, invoices. If it's not formatted as an invoice, we can't receive it.
What would you call a different name for a pre-delivery report?
That's what that's the term Penguin Random
House. Right, that's what
uses.
they use. But what is a different?
A pre-delivery report is like, here's what you can expect to arrive in a shipment. It's not everything that's on an invoice, but it's like
it's not a pick ticket. It's not a.
You can call it a pick ticket. That's fine. Like a
pick ticket is basically a list of, hey, here's what we're going to pick for you.
Yeah, it's basically a packing slip.
It's just that they call it a pre-delivery report.
They call it pre-delivery report. So basically, not to digress, but that was something that I think they started coming up with for the comics market, because comics market needed to know, hey, what comics am I getting in next week so I can tell my subscribers, I can make spaces, I can do all the prep for this, because I cannot do all that stuff just by unpacking a box and being like, hey, comics,
here it is.
I got to know what I'm getting in.
I just cut this box open.
Yeah.
It's half torn open anyway. I just shake it loose over a large table.
And then I
let the contents dump out the way they were in the box anyway.
I take my big metal triangle and I clang and clang and clang and clang, and then people come and
the
grab
comics
stuff
bell
out
has
of the
rung.
pile.
Hey everyone, it's the comics bell.
That's the market. So what we found out is we as a comics market who gets our books from Penguin Random House is that the invoices were not up until Wednesday. So anyone who uses Comic Suite to receive Penguin Random House books for the week couldn't use alternate vendor receiving, because alternate vendor receiving requires a Penguin Random House formatted invoice, which was not created yet.
When you say alternate vendor receiving, you mean that alternate from Diamond?
Yeah, I'm using that because that's the specific term Diamond uses in Comic Suite. Your receiving is Diamond product. Your alternate vendor receiving is a vendor other than Diamond.
It used to be called Enemy, but they changed it to...
It's still implied.
Yeah.
Receiving the Marvel stuff this week was like a more time-consuming process, because Penguin Random House is just like, nope, didn't do the invoices yet because we don't do them until the first of the month.
It's to give you extra time to pay your bills.
It's a thing that I guess it makes more sense in the book market. The idea that like we're not going to invoice you until the books are actually like on, like. The specific logic of it is a thing where, like, I would read the sentence and I'm like, I don't understand why. Like, the idea that, well, if the books don't go on sale until that month, we're not going to invoice you until that month. Like, I guess that's nice that, if you're sending me stuff in November that I can't sell till December, you're not going to bill me in November. But the problem is just, like, for whatever reason, Comic Suite devised it around the invoice. Okay, the invoice won't always be there, and it's like, I'm pretty sure that Managed Comics uses the PRH invoice as well for their receiving. So when I was telling you about this and complaining about it, you looked at the calendar and found out, like, there are 3 months in 2022.
There are 4 months.
Months in 2022 where the first week, the books will come out before Penguin Random House will invoice.
And good news, it's February and March.
Yeah, that's great.
But of course, by then, shouldn't be an issue for us.
No, that's the problem, is it will, because Managed Comics probably, I would assume, uses the PRH invoice just like Comic Suite does. Unless they have a completely different strategy, and I don't think they do.
We'll still have to go to the individual. We'll get the list of what's coming out from Lunar and from PRH. We're not getting the books from Managed Comics.
Right. So anyway,
can we? Brian, can you look into that?
That was a huge pain in the ass that we had gotten an advisory that like you couldn't place claims until December 1st because that's when the invoice went up. But I guess I specifically didn't make the connection of like, oh, I thought you were just saying I couldn't place claims, not that the invoice doesn't exist and that's why you can't place claims.
And
I did not think that.
What makes that even more, to use this word again, egregious, was we got our Marvel books in way early.
Way early.
We got them in last Thursday. Usually they come in on the Monday before they go on sale. They came in the Thursday before they go on sale.
Yeah, I had to use the old
Wait, no, it wasn't Thursday.
Receiving strategy.
It was Friday. Thursday was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was still...
It was really early. It was great. It made Monday a little easier in some regards and then slower in other regards.
Was it Wednesday or was it Friday?
I don't remember.
Anyway, it was
Before
incredibly
Monday.
early.
Yeah. Yep.
And we couldn't do anything with it.
Nope.
And it's like, oh man, we'll get stuff done early on Sunday. We can do some different tasks. And, oh no, you can't even do it on Sunday. I mean, you could. It wasn't.
Yeah, we weren't doing it till Monday anyway because we don't want to pull books and have them on people's accounts as subscribers are coming in because then we have to constantly take the books we can't sell off of the account.
If you're a subscriber and you get a weekly email from us that tells you what you have in your subscription for the week, one of the things we can't control is that it tells you everything that was on your account since the last time this email was generated.
Right.
Even if you came in and bought those things.
Yeah.
So if there was a special order that got put onto your account, like let's say
we sent you an email Tuesday night that said, hey, these are the books that are coming out and this is what you're getting. And then on Wednesday morning, you're like, hey, add this book to my box.
Yeah, can you please pull a Hulk number 1 for me?
And then you come in Wednesday night and buy everything in your box, including that book. That book, as well as everything that comes in the next Tuesday, is going to be on the Tuesday email. Even though you bought it, doesn't matter, because as far as the system's concerned, what it's sending you is like everything that you have in your box and have had in your box since the last email. Now, the weird thing about it is if I void something out of your box, it won't show up on the email.
Okay.
So like it understands that, but somehow it doesn't understand the like they bought it already part. Doesn't get that.
Nope.
The good news is this is a thing that is, like a lot of frustrations about Comic Suite, a very limited time thing. Managed Comics does it completely differently.
There's a line in the email.
There is. I put it right in the beginning.
I mean, it that says it doesn't say specifically if there's something listed that you've already bought, it's okay. But it does say this is everything that's been added to your account since the last. And how many times a week do we have somebody email and say, I already got that?
At least once a week.
I was going to say at least twice a week, but sure.
But, I mean, there's times where it's something where we got one this week where someone had said, hey, it was in my last shipment of stuff. And then, so the reason why that ended up being in their box again is because somehow Comic Suite, like that was on a replenishment order and Comic Suite pulled it for them. So it's probably a thing where Comic Suite pulled it for them when it came out, and then their actual replenishment order then showed up later, and it pulled it again, because Comic Suite is broken, and Pullbox is broken, and RMH is broken. And I hate all of them. I hate Comic Suite, I hate Diamond's data system, and I hate Pullbox. None of them work.
Here's one from today with Chris Burton. He had emailed to say, hey, on this report, it shows that I'm down for... The Rush #1 cover B.
That was the one I was just referring to.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. It was in his box.
Yep.
Wasn't on his account.
Weird.
I went to go...
He did have one that came in on a replenishment order, which is the one I was talking about. I don't know why it wouldn't be on his account then, but though he got emailed about it.
Right. So I went to go delete it from his account.
Baffling.
Not on the inbox subscription, inbox special order.
Baffling.
Yeah.
Broken system.
There were several things, and like Luke wants a Beta Ray Bill Argent Star.
Okay.
So I'm like, I just do a special order from that. Can't. It wants to place it as a new order.
That's weird.
It wouldn't let me pull it from existing stuff from a reorder. So I'm just gonna wait and pull it from where it's received.
Yeah, for sure. That could be a quirky one where we don't have an existing order for it because of how the... Like, Beta Ray Bill specifically was one of the ones where, like, we'd ordered it, or I think we'd ordered it from Diamond, and then Diamond lost the rights to it.
Okay.
Or whatever, because Beta Ray Bill's on that printout that's on the bottom of the clipboard, where it's like, here are things that we had to not order because it was before the alternate vendor ordering stuff existed for Penguin Random House and Comic Suite.
And then
Otherwise, if it was something from like a recent catalog, you totally could. It's just that one is part of that weird window where
and the stock that we ordered for the signing is a whole separate thing.
Yeah, that's not that doesn't exist in a purchase order in the system at all because we did that directly through Penguin Random House. We did not do that as a purchase order in Comic Suite.
So weird.
But we did have a base number of them we'd ordered outside of the event order. It's just that was when graphic novels from Diamond were kind of freaking out. Yeah. Because of, again, it was stuff that had been ordered, and then the order terms changed, and then we were in this gray area of like, wait, so are they canceling our order or not canceling our order? It was very, very peculiar. So we have a sheet of paper, and if you look at the clipboard tomorrow, you'll see that Beta Ray Bill's on there with like 3 names next to it of people who are like, please pull this for me.
Oh, I threw the clipboard in the trash.
Okay. The whole clipboard.
Yeah, I mean it's a systemic of the issues.
It's a reminder of everything we hate.
Speaking of everything we hate, Molly Jane is in today. It's no.
Too late.
And I was in the back refilling soap dispensers.
Sure.
And Molly Jane and Gina were up front, and a guy comes in with a bag full of old books.
Okay.
He's still playing with the alligator. Everybody.
This is great. This is better than the Lego figure. This little alligator. And for the record, there is no place to put a crown on him. Like, you could probably make one and glue it on, but there's no like port for it.
I just wondered if it would have like clipped into like a giant crown clipped into his back.
No, I maybe on his back, but that would be right. You want it on his head. Anyway.
So a guy comes in and with a big bag full of comics. He's like, "Yeah, I want to sell these." And Gina's like, "We don't buy comics." He's like, "What?" And Molly Jane's like, "We don't buy comics." And he goes, "It says you do on your website." And Gina says, "It absolutely does not say that on our website." It says
the exact opposite of that. We are very clear on the About Us page that we do not buy private collections.
And then he's like, "Well, do you buy?" And Gina's like, "We don't buy anything. Like we don't do any buying."
Why is this conversation still going on?
It's just great. That's not what it says on your website. Yes, what it exactly says on our website is we do not buy personal collections of comics, trading cards, sports cards, action figures.
We just kept naming things that people tried to sell us because anytime we'd be like, no, we don't buy comics. Like, okay, but, and then they would name everything else they've ever owned that they want to sell. And it's like, I'm just going to put those on the website as we don't buy those. But again,
it says you do on your website. It sure doesn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what store you're at?
The two things that are the most aggravating in that process that I almost want to stop people and go, walk me through how this happened. Give me more details.
Yeah, exactly.
It says it on your website. Show me on the website where you found that. And then I was at another store and they say you do. What store? When did you talk to them? What day? What person?
Do you remember
who is telling you this?
Old iteration of our website, you had contacted a bunch of other local stores and said, hey, do you buy? We're going to put your information on our website for people who want to sell books. Mm-hmm. And you quiz other stores, and it even said, like, we don't buy back issues, but, these stores do. Right. Go to them.
Yeah, it is something we hear a lot, it says on your website you do. Because people don't usually trot that one out, because that's easily disprovable.
Yeah.
But someone in another store said you do. Like, and they can never give you any more details.
Which store?
Yeah, I don't know. Store? I just called another store and they said you do.
Wait, why would you call them but bring your books into here? Oh, they brought them in because they said we do. Of course.
Of course.
Don't come in. Call the store. Like, do you know who does? No, why don't you call stores and ask them before you bring everything in?
Do a Google search, find their information, call them, and save yourself a trip.
Oh, man. You'll know the answer to this one immediately. Mm-hmm. But somebody came in looking for, do you have Zero's Journey? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we do. And I go into the sidekicks. I'm like, can't find it. Uh-huh. She's like, I'm looking for volume 3. I'm like, wow, I don't remember if there was a volume 3. She's like, no, there was. I saw it online. I'm like, okay, well, let me go look it up because I can't find it. Mm-hmm. Where was it, Dow?
Disney's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes. I was looking under...
Sorry. Nightmare Before Christmas. Sorry.
It's under... it's full...
All the Disney books are together.
What is its official title?
Oh my god, it's like Disney's Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Disney manga.
Oh, okay.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, like, man.
And yet we didn't put it in the manga section.
And we didn't, yeah.
Hilarious.
Because I looked there as second. It wasn't under N. I went to manga. I'm like, no, because I know it's oversized.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you for patience. She's like, no, thanks for finding it. I'm like, Like,
You shouldn't have needed to be patient.
yeah. And then they asked for a Star Wars Adventures we don't have, but can order it.
Yeah, we stopped carrying those.
No, not graphic novel, single issue.
Oh, okay. But we did stop carrying the graphic novels.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
I don't... We might have restarted on some stuff, but I know for the regular Star Wars Adventure series, they just weren't turning, and it's like, okay, you're on like volume 5 now because there's like 2 comics per graphic novel. Like, I'm not going to keep ordering these things when they're not selling.
She was looking for the issue that had Dave Scheid in it, and on the shelf we go from 4 to 12.
Sure.
And I go, Dave was either in 10 or 11. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's 10. She's like, oh, there's 10 right there. I'm like, no, there's 4 different,
That's a different 10.
Star Wars Adventure series right now. That's not the one you want.
Why
But-
is it so confusing?
Yeah.
Who was I talking to about this? I think it was Molly Jane or maybe somebody else. But just like the whole, like, it's so confusing how, like, comics and graphic novels are numbered and designed and stuff. And you get this thing of, like, the holiday season of people like, I don't know which Spider-Man thing they want. And they told me this and I don't know what to find. And it's like, on the one hand, you're like, God, I wish it was more streamlined. I wish it was easier for people to, like, get the Christmas gifts they're looking for without being frustrated. But then I'm like, no, wait, we're the ones who unfrustrated.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't frustrating, we would not be
They
necessary.
wouldn't need us. Yeah.
You wouldn't have to go to a shop to be like, I don't know what to get. And it's like, oh, I'll help you out. Like, no, we need it to be, I guess, at least a little bit frustrating. And I jokingly said, only jokingly, that, like, God, Adam Freeman was right. All these little points of friction, like, we need those there. That keeps us in business. It should be more confusing. Get rid of all data. But no, I don't really feel that way. I would there's parts of me that are like, I would be okay with being rendered obsolete if the entire process of being a comics fan were easier.
I mean, that'll never happen.
No, it won't, because of the way that the market has always been stupid and backwards. But, like, the parts of it where I'm just like, why are there so many Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1s? Why are there so many New Mutants Volume 1s?
Because Volume 1 sold, Hal.
All of these things where it's like, how would you make any sense of this? How would you understand how to read any story? Like, it's insane. But, like, we're the ones that decode all that, and that's our job. And that's, why hopefully people who are looking to, make a good Christmas for a comics fan will think of us. But it's like, God, I wish that wasn't necessary. I wish they didn't come in already, like, anxious and frustrated. I would like them to have a pleasant experience buying comics for a loved one.
I was talking to Charles Gorey about the Darkhold, and it's the same argument, not argument, but the same conversation
it's
about
the typical dumb thing: Alpha, Omega, a bunch of one shots. Great.
Right.
How do I read this?
I was going to say Maximum Carnage, Extreme Carnage, all the Carnages,
all of them.
And
There's like 6 series like that every year from Marvel, where it's like, why is it this way?
those Infinity whatever annuals.
Yeah.
But it's like, look, having 8 number 1s means people are buying it like 8 number 1s, not issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because sales on 8 are way down compared to...
But like the corollary to that is retailers...
Who had a coronary?
Retailers like us...
Me, after hearing those sales
don't
numbers.
order like issue 1 of a miniseries. Like, we order it like, oh, this is going to be a confusing thing that no one's going to understand how to read, so I'm going to order 10 copies of Darkhold Alpha number 1, because I'm like, no one's going to understand how to read the rest of the series, so 10 for Alpha, and like 6 to 8 for the other ones. And if we sell out, and I don't care. But if it was like an 8-issue miniseries, I don't know, maybe I order more than 10 on the first one, or I certainly order more than 6 or 8 of 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like, my ability to stock it, sell it, keep it in stock is very limited when it's a bunch of crazy S1 shots instead of just a sequence of comics with a coherent reading order.
Yeah. Yeah, the way somebody was like, well, I can't remember, somebody else was asking about a book, a sort of series like that, and they said, well, I got to make sure I read them all. I just wanted to say, why? They're not giving you any other part of the story.
Yeah, it's not like the characters from, Darkhold the Blade suddenly show up in Darkhold the Wasp.
Yeah.
And I know I said the Blade.
Also,
he's an AEW wrestler.
The
just the Darkhold Blade.
What's Wasp's adjective?
Unstoppable?
No, that's the cute, fun one.
That's a Wasp.
This is the superior Wasp or whatever.
Oh, okay.
This is the dark, angry one.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The irredeemable Wasp.
Good for her.
We'll touch on this a lot more in the future, but the key phrase that you just uttered is our mantra for 2022. Order to sell out.
Pretty much.
And next week's episode will most likely be our post C2E2 recap.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Because we'll have gone to C2E2 by then.
We will, yeah.
For the one day we were there.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's next week, and this week is done. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.